Welcome back to Project 613. Today we continue learning about different sorts of vessels, different kalim, utensils, objects that have a specific designated use and how they could become ritually impure. And we've discussed recently about how a person could contract ritual impurity in various ways. But over the last 2 days, and as well as in the coming days, we're talking specifically about how ritual impurity could be conveyed to kalim, vessels, objects, utensils. And this can be contracted from various different sources of impurity. We mentioned the impurity of a dead body. We mentioned the impurity of the ashes of the red heifer. Today we'll talk about the impurity that comes from tzaraat. Now, tzaraat is commonly translated as leprosy, but as we know, this is not exactly leprosy, and as we'll see soon. And specifically, we're going to see today how within this law, we see how the Torah goes out of its way to be concerned about the possessions of the Jewish people to make sure that we do not lose out as a result of the laws of ritual impurity. How so? So when it comes to the laws of tzaraat, of leprosy, as mentioned, this is not just the skin disease of leprosy, and proof is that it actually appears not only on the skin, but also on the walls of one's home, where if the walls would have a patch of red or green on it, this could be a sign of ritual impurity. But the halacha is that in order for the home to be considered ritually impure, the Kohen would have to come and first pronounce it as such. He would have to inspect to see if this indeed is tzaraat, and once the home is pronounced that it has tzaraat, then it becomes ritually impure. Not only does the home become ritually impure, but relevant for today's discussion, all the kalim, all the vessels which are in the home as well, at the time that it's pronounced ritually impure, all become ritually impure as well. And this is where we see how the Torah is concerned about the possessions of the Jewish people, because the Torah actually tells us that before the Kohen comes to determine whether or not the home is ritually impure, the person should first remove all of his possessions. He should remove all of his kalim, all of his utensils from the home, in order that when the Kohen comes, if the Kohen does determine the home to be ritually impure, this should not affect the vessels, and the vessels will remain pure because they were not in the home at the time that it was pronounced ritually impure. And here we see how the Torah cares for and is concerned for our possessions, and therefore orders us to remove them from the home. This is very important. Why? Because usually a keli, a vessel or a utensil, even if it's ritually impure, it could be taken to the mikvah afterwards and it could become pure again. But there are certain utensils, specifically ones which are made out of earthenware, that cannot ever become ritually pure again. And once they have become impurified, they have to be destroyed or burnt. There is no way that they could become ritually pure again, and therefore the only way to save a person from losing his possessions is by telling him to remove them from the home in advance. Therefore, if the home does become ritually impure, these possessions will not be affected whatsoever. Another one of the reasons for this law of why the person is to remove all of these possessions from the home is actually related to the Torah's idea of punishing a person measure for measure, that when the Torah gives a person a punishment, it's actually supposed to be a learning opportunity for the person to realize why he is receiving this punishment, for him to mend his ways. And that is because one of the reasons why a person's home could be inflicted with tzaraat is as a result of the person refusing to lend out utensils when a person comes to borrow them. If the individual, if the homeowner would say, I don't have that at home, I actually don't have one available to lend out, or so on, then the home would be afflicted with tzaraat, and this would force the person to take out and remove all of these utensils, so everyone would see that in fact the person did have these utensils at home. This would actually cause the person to reflect on his ways, to mend his ways, and hopefully not repeat this mistake in the future. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.